at IFPTE Local 98. On March 9th, the Army Corps was ordered to move our offices out of New York City before Congress can review the plans at the end of the fiscal year. We couldn't find any benefit to the American public for this move. What we do know is that this is the latest attack on federal workforce after a whole year of failed DOGE policies and cuts to federal service. These attacks have disproportionately affected women and people of color, and we call this rally in front of the largest federal building. We are grateful that New York City representatives, labor leaders, and community leaders have answered this call. This rally will have women speakers from unions and the New York City government. And I'm proud to announce our next speaker, our first speaker, Hunter College lecturer and the Vice President of PSC CUNY, Jennifer Gabory.
Not here yet. She's not here yet.
Oh,
We'll go to the next person.
Apologies, she's not here yet. We'll get back to Jennifer.
I think that's just you next. You want to continue?
Is Karen Fisher here?
What?
Karen Fisher.
Karen Fisher.
All right, then I guess we'll go on to our next speaker at this rally. She's a musician and financial vice president of AFM Local 802, Karen Fisher. As an established labor leader who has negotiated many contracts for New York City's professional musicians, I am proud to share this moment with her. Thank you so much. Welcome, Karen.
Thank you very much. Hi. Good afternoon. I am Karen Fisher, and I'm very proud to be both a union officer and a veteran. I currently serve as the financial vice president of the New York City Musicians Union, Local 802. Back in the 90s, however, I played clarinet in the United States Coast Guard Band for 4 years. Due to that experience, I understand what it means to serve our country. I know the value of the dedicated women who serve throughout our armed forces, including the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. I've also seen that commitment firsthand right here in New York City at the VA hospitals, right on 23rd Street, where talented women choose to care for our veterans as doctors, nurses, and other healthcare professionals. These dedicated people could earn much more money elsewhere. However, they choose to public service because they believe in serving others. This is who makes up our federal workforce. Women federal workers keep New York City and our nation running. An attack on the federal workforce is an attack on women workers and on the public services that our communities depend on every day. When workers are forced to relocate without their consent, it creates enormous challenges for anyone trying to balance childcare, transportation, and family responsibilities. And let's be honest, those responsibilities still too often fall disproportionately on the shoulders of women. The consequences of a decision such as this one reach far beyond the workers themselves. Losing experienced engineers, scientists, planners, and other public servants could weaken flood protection, coastal resiliency, emergency response, dredging operations, and critical infrastructure projects throughout our region. That's why we are calling on the Army Corps of Engineers to halt these relocations, consult with the union, and conduct a full review. Keep the Army Corps offices here in New York. Women, fellow workers, veterans, and musicians of Local 802 stand with you in solidarity. Thank you.
Woo! Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Karen. All right, I will now go ahead and I'll put out some statements that we've received in support from Mayor Zohran Mamdani. He's unable to attend here today, but I'd like to read out his statement. New York City stands with IFPTE Local 98 and the civil servants of the Army Corps of Engineers New York District against this reckless plan to relocate their offices outside our city. New Yorkers deserve transparency, not a process that strips good union jobs from our city in the dark. I stand with my colleagues in government on both sides of the aisle in calling on federal governments to keep the experts who do this vital work from making our communities more resilient to safeguarding our harbors and waterways right here in New York. I have a second statement here as well from Assemblywoman Grace Lee, who's also unable to be here. Women are the backbone of the federal government and critical to our city, state, and region. I stand with the workers of IFPTE Local 98 in their fight to keep the Army Corps of Engineers in New York City as it's been since 1775. This is a bipartisan coalition that understands the value for the people of New York. We hope to see this work remain in the 5 boroughs. It is now my pleasure to introduce our union's local vice president, Monica Coniglio.
Sorry, put my water down. My name is Monica Coniglio, vice president of IFPTE Local 98. Thank you for coming out today and standing in solidarity with women in labor. We're here because the Army Corps is aggressively pushing an office relocation that could drive nearly half of our workforce to leave while wasting millions of taxpayer dollars. But today is also about recognizing what we've accomplished all together. Over the past several months, we've built support from elected leaders across party lines and at every level of government. I especially want to thank the incredible women of IFPTE Local 98. Whether you collected data, helped draft our GAO request, or led outreach to key leaders across New York City, your hard work got us where we are today, and we couldn't have done it without you. Thank you. Woo! I would like to share a little IFPTE Local 98 history. 20 years ago, a woman in engineering division decided that her workplace should be unionized. That woman was Janice Loletta Weinman. She took on this challenge at a time when women made under 40% of the federal sector professional workforce. She coordinated with IFPTE International, organized her coworkers, and set up the first agreements between the agency and IFPTE Local 98. If it wasn't for Janice Loletta Weinman, we wouldn't be standing here today. And our union has never stopped fighting for women in the workplace. We have successfully fought for our sisters' rights to maternity leave, protected vital health care, and demanded fair treatment. And we are here today with new leadership, exercising the rights that our union provides to us during precarious times such as these. IFPTE Local 98 women have not had to hide in the shadows of a gag order, nor an NDA for closed-door meetings. IFPTE Local 98 has consistently pushed for transparency and a voice at the table. As clearly outlined in our collective bargaining agreement, the union has the right to pre-decisional involvement regarding decisions that impact our members, ensuring workers have a voice at the table before those decisions are made. Had we been given a seat at the table, our management would have been made aware of the legal minefield they were entering. The fact that 45% of our workforce would leave if our office was relocated in any direction off of Manhattan, and the many viable alternatives that Manhattan has to offer. And look, I live in Hoboken, and I'm against the relocation to New Jersey because hundreds of billions in critical infrastructure funding will be on the line or delayed by this move. We are concerned about the future of women in the federal workforce. Many of our members are mothers, and coming to the office every day presents its own set of challenges from raising a child and being there for them. Whether you're taking care of a parent or a family member in need, geographically prioritizing one set of workers is not in anyone's best interest. It is our job to protect a healthy work-life balance for our workforce so that they are able to focus on doing their job well rather than fear the possibility of spending 2 to 3 less hours daily with their families for a nonsensical move to New Jersey. It is our job to protect our workforce from bad policies, especially those that disproportionately affect women and people of color. As we speak, the USDA is also attempting a massive reorganization of their offices. A GAO report found when the USDA relocated their offices in 2019, the women and people of color left the agency and few came back. Relocations are not a cost savings measure. It's a message that they would rather waste tens of millions of your taxpayer dollars. We still have $4 to $5 million in renovation costs from previous moves to pay off, and estimated that this proposed office relocation would cost $3 million to move the IT equipment alone. And they're wasting all of this money to jeopardize the workers, including the many women that work to keep your shore safe, your waterways clear, and your city ready for any emergency. And not only is this move disrespectful to our workers, but it's disrespectful to the elected officials who first learned about this move from our union. Before our union got involved, the decision makers were ready to rush this move without consulting the women who were elected to lead this city. We call on the decision makers to stop the move until they work with the union, the elected leaders, and the people we serve. We call on those who have not joined us yet to use your voice and your leverage to put pressure against these policies. We call on all to say enough is enough. This union, bravely started and continued by women in the federal sector, has shown that it can push the needle. We are prepared to go even further. Let's show them how far we can go. The sky is the limit. Now, I have the privilege of introducing someone who has never stopped fighting for New York City. When our city faced a projected $12 billion budget deficit, she stepped up and worked with the good people of New York City to eliminate it. Driven by a deep commitment to this city, she now channels that same leadership to amplify the voices of women in the federal workforce. It is truly my honor to share the stage with New York City Council Speaker Julie Menin. Please join me in giving her a warm welcome as she speaks about the challenges facing women in the federal workforce.
Thank you so much, Monica. So since this is a rally, do we have labor in the house? Yeah! So let me first of all thank everyone at Local 98. I really want to thank the Central Labor Council. I want to thank you for everything that you do for our great city. I want to thank my colleague, Councilmember Susan Zhuang, incoming Congressmember Brad Lander, unions that are here, PSC CUNY, Local 802, CWA Local 1180. I see RWDSU is in the house. So thank you to all of our friends in labor. So look, you've heard all of the reasons why this move makes no sense. The fact that the very workers who we're talking about here were not even part of the conversations about this move is simply inexcusable. And I would be remiss if I did not point out, as we are about to head into the 25th anniversary of the tragic events of 9/11, the incredible work that the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers has done for our city. Their heroic actions on 9/11, literally ferrying thousands of stranded citizens to safety and delivering supplies to first responders. We so appreciate everything that they did on that event, and we're literally blocks away from ground zero right now. We know that this issue disproportionately is affecting women, and when you talk about the additional costs that the workers would have to face, we're talking about child care costs, we're talking about extra transit costs. This issue disproportionately affects women. I'm very proud to lead a women majority city council. And so we've really tried to focus very much on women's issues, but what this move is showing is that it's showing a complete disregard for the women workers. It's truly shocking. And when we were looking into this issue, this is not like this is actually even a partisan issue. We have a situation where both Democrats and Republicans in Congress are opposed to this move. So this move is not only going to be more expensive for the workers and increase their child care and transit costs, but it's also going to cost the government more money as well. So for every reason, I just really wanted to personally be here today to stand in solidarity with Local 98, with all of our amazing friends in labor, to strongly oppose this move and say enough is enough. Thank you. I'll turn it back over to Monica. Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Council Speaker Menin, for fighting for the women in New York City, including those who work in the federal sector. We will now go back to our first planned speaker. I am proud to announce our next speaker, Hunter College lecturer and the Vice President of PSC CUNY, Jennifer Gaboury.
Hey everybody, I'm Jen Gaboury from the PSC CUNY. So I'm not only get to be the first Vice President of PSC, but I teach in the Department of Gender and Sexuality Studies at Hunter College. So part of what I know, and to amplify what the speaker just said, is that women gained a foothold in the Army Corps of Engineers in World War II. And that was really important in terms of thinking about women's labor participation at the time. Because unlike factories, women weren't turned out of the military. And they were able, in fact, to not only gain ground in kind of like traditional military jobs, but in highly skilled professions, right? And it's why we are here today talking about urban planners, scientists, right? Other kinds of public servants with highly skilled jobs and expertise who are responding to climate disasters, who are looking at our coastline, right? Who are preparing for disasters that are not going to happen in New Jersey, but that are going to affect us here locally. This is a gender justice issue because it is about union density in New York City. Why would we give up the union jobs, right, to our neighbors? Like, we want our good union jobs right here in New York City. And that too, right, it's a labor justice issue, it's a gender justice issue, and that is really what we need to care about. So we want to make sure that labor stands with us, that gender justice advocates stand with us, and make sure that we respond to these jobs here. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. One of the missions of the Army Corps is to protect the American people by working with others to ensure a safe environment. This is why, oh, my apologies. Gonna go back.
No.
My apologies. Yep. Here you go.
All right. Thank you so much. So representing Brooklyn in the New York City Council is our next speaker who stood for immigrant rights in New York City as a fellow fighter. I am excited to introduce Councilwoman Susan Zwang of the 43rd District.
Thank you, Monica. And I want to thank every single one come out to speak up for our women. You know, I was talking to my speaker, Julie Menin. I said, did you ever watch a movie called Hidden Figure? A black woman working in NASA and not allowed to use the bathroom, have to run like 15 minutes out, 15 minutes in, just use the bathroom.
That's right.
I feel we are going backwards. We should not go backwards. I feel that's the way our country is going. That's the direction. And also, I have to say, I'm very proud to stand with the hard-working women of IFPTE Local 98 in your fight to keep our U.S. Army Corps of Engineers here in New York City. The women of Army Corps plays a critical role in protecting our communities every day. They help strengthen our infrastructure, reduce flood risk, improve our waterways, and making our city more resilient. As we facing more frequent storms, like a couple of days ago, we see there's a lot of flooding in Queens area, even in my neighborhood, raising seas and the growing impact of climate change. Their work has never been more important. We cannot afford to weaken the workforce that keeps New Yorkers safe. Today, we stand with the workers on the front line. We stand with the engineers, scientists, planners, and public servants who actually can get paid more working in the other industry, who dedicate their career to protect our city and our future. Keep the Army Corps of Engineers in New York City is not just about keeping jobs. It's about protecting our infrastructure, safeguarding our neighborhood, and investing in resilience of generations to come. To the women of IFPTE Local 98, I'm very proud of you, and I want to thank you of your leadership, your knowledge, and your unwavering commitment to our public service. I want to make sure everyone knows we stand together, we stand with each other, and we'll fight until we win.
Thank you, Councilwoman. My name's Daniel Kim. I'm president of IFPTE Local 98. Thank you to our city representatives for their support to our cause. One of the missions of the Army Corps is to protect the American people by working with others to ensure a safe environment. This is why people like our next speaker, Pete Sikora, the Climate Campaigns Director for New York Communities for Change, are important to the American public. Our federal workers are best to listen to all voices to best serve you. It is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Sikora, a formidable voice for New York communities, to the stage.
Oh, thank you. much. That's so nice of you. Yes. Thank you so much. You know, the climate crisis is bearing down on all of us. Just a few blocks from here, as anyone who is in this neighborhood knows, during Sandy, this was flooded. Work got done. Now that same level of weather event wouldn't cause the neighborhood to flood because of the expertise of people like in the Army Corps of Engineers who can manage a project like that. So thank you. I want to thank you for doing that kind of work that is vital for New York. Of course, that's 1 foot of sea level rise, but what we're facing is multiple feet of sea level rise, hotter, more extreme weather. The climate crisis is spiraling, and we need the experts here in the city to do that. If this office is shifted to New Jersey, we're going to lose a lot of talented people in the Army Corps of Engineers and the local expertise that our city and our region needs. It just makes sense to keep the work here in New York City, to keep the jobs here, to keep the expertise here on the federal workforce. A lot of our organizations, we're here outside of this building a lot saying that we want ICE out of New York City. We want ICE out of New York City, but what we don't want out of New York City is the massive federal workforce that does so much good for all of us. You know, thank you to the women and men of the local who have been doing it. As a person who worked for a union, I do truly appreciate the gender justice angle and fighting for maternity benefits as a core organizing principle of the local. That is just fantastic as well. Thank you. We're here to support you, and we want to win this fight. Keep the Army Corps of Engineers here in this building where we need them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sikora. Your grassroots perspective on the benefits of public service are very greatly appreciated. Our final speaker has been a frequent visitor to this building behind us. He has been a fierce fighter for not only immigrant rights, but also for federal workers since the attack started last year. I am proud to introduce former New York City Comptroller and current Democratic congressional candidate, Brad Lander.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. Some people have thought that I was applying for a job at the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers because I've been visiting so frequently. And of course, I would be very honored if I were a part of IFPTE Local 98 and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, which has an extraordinary history. I confess I didn't know that much about its history, so I learned a little before today. And the Army Corps was founded in June of 1775, before this country was even founded, in order to provide the Continental Army and George Washington with the engineering and the fortifications and the capacity to deliver what our country has needed ever since. And the Army Corps, from the very founding of our country in the Revolutionary War, through to the building of dams and fortifications and levees that have protected not just the Army, of course, but the country now for 250 years. And much of that legacy, of course, has been in New York and New York City. West Point, of course, you know, founding part of the Army Corps and of our country and of this state, and then a deep, deep history in New York City. The speaker mentioned the role they played around 9/11, and many speakers have talked, and rightly so, about the role the Army Corps has in the future of New York Harbor and attending to protection from sea level rise and climate change, which is bearing down on us. So, one thing we cannot have, because it is utterly disrespectful to the workers and the union who were not consulted in this process, disrespectful to the largely women workforce, disrespectful to the broader labor movement that's reflected so well here. Thank you, by the Central Labor Council and Align and RW and PSC. Disrespectful to that legacy of New York City. Thank you, Councilmember Swang and Speaker Menin, for being here. But I also just want to make clear, part of, I believe, the move of the Trump administration to do this is to weaken the Army Corps of Engineers. Their thought, I believe, is that if they move it across the river, many people won't stay in their jobs because they can't manage a life of, you know, so much longer commuting. And they think, well, then some people will leave the agency will be smaller and weaker. And since they started with DOGE, they have been looking for a weaker, smaller federal government where they try to bust the labor unions, where they try to weaken the capacity of the essential services that Americans rely on. And we've seen that in agency after agency. We saw that at USAID, we saw that at FEMA, we've seen that at the Department of Labor, we've seen it at FEMA, we've seen it at the consumer protection agencies, and today we are seeing it here. So, in addition to being angry for the gender justice issues, in addition to being angry about the abandonment of New York City, I am angry about the Trump administration's effort to weaken the Army Corps of Engineers when we need it more than ever. We're all out here in solidarity, demanding that the Army Corps stay right here at 26 Federal Plaza in New York City with its strong union, with its strong ability to help us lead a more resilient future. Thank you very much. We have your backs.
For our final remarks, I would like to welcome back to the stage our esteemed Vice President, Monica Coniglio.
Thank you to all who have attended this event. As our esteemed friend and fierce ally in New York City Central Labor Council, Alex Gleason, put it, solidarity is a verb. The federal workforce is deeply thankful for the support and solidarity that you have shown today. I will see you in the fight ahead.